Good morning, everyone. I hope everybody is doing well. My name is Jason. I'm with Central Rappahannock River Habitat for Humanity. And this morning we are doing a presentation for our Westmoreland Local Heroes program. We actually have lots available to build. So we're looking for our first participants. So I am going to be going off video and proceeding. So thank you guys for your time. We'll have a question and answer session at the end. All right. Again, my name is Jason. I'm with Central Rappahannock River Habitat for Humanity. And this morning we are here to talk about the opportunities we have for local heroes living and working in Westmoreland County. So local heroes would consist of anybody who works in the following professions: teachers, first responders, and healthcare workers. And healthcare workers can be anybody with any kind of healthcare certifications, from phlebotomists to nurses. As long as you've got some sort of health certification and you're working at a local doctor, hospital, whatever, that would qualify. Teachers are fairly obvious, but you do need to be a licensed teacher or in the process of getting your license and working at a local school. And then first responders, obviously there's a lot of folks that fit into that category: firefighters, paramedics, police, correction officers, even social workers. A lot of people don't know, but oftentimes they have to go out and respond when tragedy happens. And so we want to give them the same opportunity we give the rest of our first responders as well. So a little housekeeping notes: grab your pen and paper down. Write your questions. We will have a Q&A time at the end. You can also type them in the chat box if you'd prefer, but you will be able to ask them at the end as well. So you can either type them in as we go along, or you can, again, ask them at the end. Also, you're going to need to write down the presentation code if you want to apply for the program. When you reach out to my staff, you're going to have to give them the code so we know you've listened to the whole presentation. And the code's typically only good for 30 days because things change. And so we do a new presentation every month. So if you, if you want to apply, if you don't do it within 30 days of the date of this posting, then, you'd have to watch it again and check the next one out. I also like to mention you're applying for a program, not a loan, but the goal is to assist you to get a loan. So who are we? Let's start with that. So we are Central Rappahannock River Habitat for Humanity. We were formerly and sort of also currently known as Caroline County Habitat for Humanity. We set up in late last year and made it official as of January 1st. But we now serve multiple counties, so we had to get a name to reflect that. So we're now known as Central Rappahannock River Habitat for Humanity. But if you go search for us on the IRS sites or some other sites, you'll still find us as Caroline County Habitat. So we're set up as a doing business. But in the coming years, as we renew grants and contracts, we will start to phase out the old name and eventually drop the old name and go just with the new one. But we do serve Essex, King and Queen, Richmond County, Westmoreland County, as well as Caroline. Now, this presentation today is specific to Westmoreland because we do actually have lots available to build. I'm not just looking for people, but I'm actually looking for people to house, preferably within, the next 4 to 6 months. We would like to sign some papers with a local hero and get you housed in the lots that we have. So we were formed locally founded in 1976 by Millard and Linda Fuller in Americus, Georgia. Locally, the chapter opened in Caroline in 1996. Another notable date for us was 2019. We got awarded our first USDA 523 Mutual Self-Help Grant, which that program really was our bedrock program. And it's open to anybody based on income, not just profession. So you guys as teachers and first responders and healthcare workers, you're eligible for that program as well. We do a whole presentation on that. I guess the main difference between that one and our Local Heroes program is the other program is more of your traditional habitat model, in that you build your own home with the help of the community, whereas our Local Heroes program primarily we were going to be using modular housing or local builders to build with you and for you. There is still some sweat equity we'll get into, but you're not going to be required to build your own home. One of the big advantages to self-help, if you ask why should I pick one program or the other, self-help can move a little slower because we have to get 8 households at a time. They all agree to help each other build their home. Nobody moves in until everybody does. So we got to get 8 people all within the same general geographic area to make that group work. And it's like having a job for your part-time job for a year. But the benefit of you move in with a tremendous amount of equity, whereas our program where you get a modular or have one built, it's more traditional. You know, you're going to pretty much pay market, but we get special loans and other things that make it affordable for you. But it is, again, a little quicker to do this route than build your own home. We did expand in 2025 to cover Essex, King and Queen, Westmoreland, and Richmond counties. That was also a significant date for us. All right, so the lots we have 2 lots in pre-development in Glebe Harbour. We actually have already identified that the one is eligible to be built on. We verified that we can get utilities. We have enough setback. We have enough space. So we do got a lot on South Glebe Harbour Road that we can build with you and for you. And we also have another lot in Colonial Beach that we're in pre-development, and we expect more soon. In particular, in Glebe Harbour, there's quite a bit of property available there. So we're looking for donations and stuff to purchase in those areas. But the only lot that we have for sure at this point is the one on South Glebe Harbour. But we have, determined that we can build on that one. The other one we're still doing some research on, but we do expect more to become available soon. So if you are a teacher, first responder, or healthcare worker who lives or works in Westmoreland County, we're looking for you. We want to define you and work with you to build a house with you. All right, so how does it work? So there's a couple things that we use to make it work. Many people know about Habitat for Humanity and what's known as sweat equity. That's where the home buyers build their homes. Habitat is known for sweat equity. So every program we have will have some sweat equity involved in it. That's how we keep our program costs down and the cost of the homes. So you as a teacher, first responder, I'll go more into that in a minute, but you would be required to do some sweat equity. But you're not building your own home. There's other ways to get it. And then we get affordable loans. We actually have access to about 11 different loans. Our primary loan of choice is the USD 502 direct loan because it does have the best terms for our clients. It can be up to 38 years, and you can get an interest subsidy lowering your rate to 1%. But that loan is also limited because they run out of money every year and other things. So we do have other loans that can also put you in there as affordably as well. And then when available, any grants that we can get, down payment grants, other grants, things like that, we would seek those out. And that's typically based on your circumstances. So sweat equity. So how it works is you in this program only have to do 12 hours per week. And you can actually get a surrogate, or we actually call them a build buddy now, to help you get those hours. Now, you're not building your own home, but you can help build some of the other homes being built, our self-help program, or you could also volunteer in our office. You can work events for us, various things like that. But from the time you sign the contract to the time you move in, it's roughly 12 hours per week that you'd have to do. And again, you can get a surrogate. So if you got a surrogate, you guys both show up on a Saturday to help build one of our homes, our self-help homes, you would meet your hours right there. In fact, one of you'd only have to work half of the day. The other could work 8, and then the other person can work half. So it's very flexible, and we're even willing to work with you in Westmoreland because we don't have a lot of self-help homes going there yet. If you, let's say you already, There's another nonprofit in the area. And if they need volunteers and it's a meaningful experience that would help them, you can even volunteer with another nonprofit if it's more convenient for you. We really, you know, it saves us money. So if you can volunteer with us at our office or at a build site, it really does help our program. But we do understand Westmoreland, our service area is humongous. We're 5 counties big, and you're talking a good hour drive, maybe hour and 15 minutes, even depending on where you live. If you were to drive from, say, Westmoreland to where my closest self-help homes are, which are in Caroline County, right off of the Ladysmith exit. So if you can get there, God bless you. We'd love to have you. Or our office is right outside of Bowling Green. Now, if you do volunteer at the office, I will mention in events, some additional training is required. When you go to the build site, you get all the training that morning or that afternoon, depending on if you're doing a half day or a full day. But you get all of that. We have what's called Toolbox Talk, where we go over what we're going to do, the tools we're going to use, and the safety kind of things. So no kind of pre-training for the construction site. But again, if you do want to volunteer at the office, let's say maybe you have skills in QuickBooks or work as a receptionist or even cleaning the office, honestly, cutting the grass. I mean, all of that saves us money, saves our program money, which we pass along to our participants, in the form of providing these programs. We got to find a way to pay for stuff. So like, believe it or not, cleaning the office saves us money. I paid $90 every time I get a professional cleaner to clean it. So anytime volunteers help with that, that saves money on what we're doing. Also cutting grass, leaves, any of those kinds of things, outside building maintenance. We try to use as many volunteers for that stuff as we can, because ultimately that saves us money. So it's really easy to get your sweat equity. Again, if you're really far away and you can't get to one of our sites, we will work with you. We can find a local nonprofit that would maybe need some volunteers, and we'll work with you on that. Then hopefully one day we'll have some self-help homes going in Westmoreland. So we'll have opportunities for folks, not only in your program, but just the community at large, to volunteer, because it's a lot of fun, and it's really a good way to bring people together. A lot of businesses like to do it. They come out on Fridays as team building exercises. So it's just a great time. And you learn a lot of skills too. Loan requirements. So this is the other part of it. So sweat equity is required. The next part is what's required to get the loan. So we kind of set the bar for the 502 loan, but there are other loans out there that may have other requirements that we might find would be a good fit for you, that can get you in the house quicker than the 502 loan. But overall, the same basic parameters are there. Mostly it's income is really what's going to dictate it. We can get a lower income in a home using the 502 loan than we can, say, the guaranteed loan, because of the interest subsidies and the extra length of term they give you. But basically, you have 2 years of stable, dependable income with supporting tax returns and W-2s. Your DTI, debt to income ratio requirements, are kind of standard. That's really kind of something that now is, for the most part, I believe, written into the law, some of the things. But your home payment and your other payments can't be more than 42% of your adjusted household income. 30% of that is your home payment, and 12% of that is your other debts and other obligations. Now, the debt to income ratio, we actually give you a spreadsheet when you ask for an application that helps you calculate your debt to income ratio. And if your debt to income ratio is a little out of whack, that doesn't mean we can't help you. That just means we need to kind of coach you at where you need to get, and then look at your credit, look at the different things, and figure out how we can get your DTI in line that we need. So we have what's called a home buyers club. If you don't qualify today, after we look at your credit and everything, we say, this is what you need to do. And then we help you formulate an action plan. Now we're going to give you guidance, but you're obviously the one that really needs to be the main author of that action plan because you're the one that has to execute it. I'll give you an example. So many people come in the door and we kind of show them, hey, if you get your debt to this level, we can get you this much of a loan, and this is the type of house you can get. They get really excited, and they for the first time, often they'll say, man, this is the first opportunity I've ever had to own a home. And so they say, I'm not going to eat out. I'm not going to buy Starbucks. I'm not going to go to the movies. I'm going to pack my lunch every day to save money to pay off debt. And although I love that sentiment and I love that thought, the reality is that typically is not a realistic plan that you're going to be able to achieve and execute. Every single one of us needs to have a social life. Every single one of us needs to have a release. And, whether that's going out to eat, once or twice a month with your family and friends, or, getting your Starbucks when you had a bad week, or some other, coffee shop that you have, we understand that. So what we encourage you to do is create a budget that would still allow you to live your life without having to cut everything out of it. Maybe instead of eating out, 5 times a month, you're going to go to 2 times a month, instead of, getting Starbucks 3 times a week, maybe you're going to go to every other week, or, whatever the case may be. So we kind of help you. We kind of play that sounding board saying, hey, do you really think that's a realistic method or, process? And because we want you to be successful. So, because oftentimes if you set the goal so high and then you can't get it, because you get discouraged because you keep eating out or buying coffee or whatever and not sticking to your plan, that oftentimes will cause people to just abandon the process. And we don't want that. So I know that we have this lot available now, but if you apply and you don't get this lot, we will have more. We promise you that we will have more. So I say, take it as a marathon, not a sprint. So look at this in the long term, invest in yourself in the long term. And so we'll help you get there. So other things, no bankruptcies within the last 3 years, and a credit history that shows you'll repay the loan. It can be a traditional alternative credit. What that means is, if you don't have any credit on your credit report, we can show where you are making other payments. Maybe you're paying rent. Maybe you're paying for car insurance or health insurance. Anything that you have a contract on, as long as we can show 3 of those in 2 years of you taking care of it, and we can help you. Now, the 502 loan, again, is definitely the best loan. What's cool about that is it not only has the interest subsidy and the extended terms, they're a little more flexible as far as getting people approved with, I wouldn't say bad credit, but people who have had maybe issues that have affected their credit. You still have to show that you can repay the loan. So you can't have a credit report that shows you never pay off your debts, right? But you can, to give you an example, let's say you got pretty good credit, but then, 8 months ago, there was a blip. And we find out that grandma got sick. You had to leave, go to North Carolina for a month. You missed some work, so some payments were late. We understand that happens. As long as it's not like every month, right? We can typically talk through that and oftentimes get waivers for certain things. Now, it has to make sense. It can't just be like, you've never paid on time, so let me ask for a waiver. It needs to legitimately make sense. Now, some of our other loans are not as flexible. They're primarily credit score driven. If your score is not a certain score, you can't get that loan. But that's why we do have more than one loan, because everybody has different circumstances. But we, when you apply, we look at where you are, what you need, and then we try to get you in there as quickly as we can, balancing that with the most affordable options, right? You could, for example, you could wait a year for a 502 loan. Maybe you have to wait a whole year. Or you can get a guaranteed loan within a month, right? So it's about that balance between saving you money and getting you in the home. And as long as we can get you in the home and the payment's affordable, affordable is defined as no more than 30% of your household income, then we're okay with any loan. So it's just a question of making sure the money's available. Again, the 502 funding is limited. It's it's got anywhere every year from 850 million to $1 billion to lend out. But when you spread that over 50 states, it goes pretty quick. So oftentimes, unless people are okay waiting for a while, we can't get that loan as readily as we can some of our other loans. So I talked a little bit about this, but our primary loan is the 502 direct loan. What's cool about that, again, it can be up to 38 years instead of a 30-year loan. It's actually going to be at least 33 anyway. So that 3 extra years does lower the payment for you. Also, you can get an interest subsidy. Today, the rate is 5.125%. But if you can't afford the payment, they can actually lower your rate to as low as 1%. Now, it's a subsidy, so you potentially could have to pay that back. There's a whole video you watch on that subsidy recapture thing. But it is, again, it's a very good loan. Then the next loan we use is the USD guaranteed loan. That loan is also pretty daggone good. We can get you in there a little quicker usually because it's kind of a balance. You pay a little higher interest rate, but the money comes from a local, from a lender, not the government. The government's guaranteeing the loan. So if some reason you go into foreclosure, the lender's not out the money, but that allows them to take a little bit more of a chance sometimes. Other loans might be used based on eligibility. So we have an example, we have access to the veteran loans. So if you're a veteran, that might be a loan that we would pursue for you. But overall, we have 11 different loans that we can access based off of your circumstances, timing, and other factors that would make us choose one loan over the other. So we do pull your credit, just like with any loan. Credit report fees do continue to go up. It's $60 every time we pull credit for one person. It's almost 120 when I pull it for two. So depending on your circumstances, we may need to pull your credit 3 or 4 times. Now, not always, but again, if you're not loan ready today and you join our home buyers club, for example, you may decide it'll take you up to 2 years to pay off your debt. So along the way, we're going to touch base with you. We're going to check your credit, see where you are. And before we turn your loan in, we check your credit, because when we turn loans in, we have to make sure that our approval rating is pretty high. So we're what's known as a packager. We're not the lender. We originate the loans, but then we have to send these packets to underwriters who then approve them or not. And so in order for us to stay eligible to do this type of work, we have to have a success rate of at least 70% or higher of every loan we turn in needs to be approved. So the only way we can really ensure that is if we're looking at your credit ourselves. There are some nonprofits out there that will just turn them in without looking in your credit, and then they get a decline. And to me, that's just kind of a waste of your time and my staff time. So what we're asking in order to keep these costs down for yourself, unless you want to pay $60 every time you pull your credit, we ask the initial application for the program, you bring a copy of your free annual credit report in. You can get it free from annualcreditreport.com. You don't even need to print it. You can send my team a digital copy if you'd like. If you don't have access to a computer, you can schedule a time to come in the office and we'll help you pull it as well. You need to pull it yourself on one of our computers, but we'll help you do that. And by the way, once you set up your account with them, you can pull this weekly for free and it doesn't hurt your score. Now, they don't give your credit score when you get this free version, but you can pay for it and get your score. That's one reason we do pull it eventually, is because we need to see your score, because that dictates to us the paperwork we'll have to turn in. If your score is above 640, quite often it's less paperwork we're going to need to get from you. If your score is below 640, we're probably going to have to get some more paperwork. We're going to maybe have to get verification of some things. So in order to keep these costs down for you and make the program not scare people away because of application fees, the first one, we do want you to bring a free credit report because the first application, you're only paying enough for us to pull your credit one time. So you bringing that free copy in at the beginning will save you money. All right. So this slide actually shows our whole service area, but I'm going to just focus on Westmoreland today because that's where we have lots that we're building in. And if you're in our other counties, check out our monthly presentations for those as well, and we can kind of go more into those. But in Westmoreland, if you have a household that has between 1 and 4 people, you can make up to $72,250. If you're a larger household between 5 and 9 people, you can make up to $95,400. So, if you're a teacher making 50 grand, you're good to go. These are limits, by the way. These aren't minimums. The minimums really are dictated more so by the market, what we have to pay for land, what cost of permits are, what it costs for the lumber, the sticks and the bricks, things like that. But if you're a teacher, a first responder, or a healthcare worker, and you're making 40 grand or more, we should be able to get you enough of a loan to make it happen. All right, and then also another thing, there could be possible pre-buyer education requirements. At very minimum, there is a Virginia Housing Home Buyer Education course you have to take. It's online, but based off of your circumstances, if there's certain grants or certain loans we're getting that are a better fit for you, you may have to do more extensive education. So the state, for example, has a down payment program, but you have to complete HUD counseling. It's a pretty significant commitment for you to do. It's going to require hours a month to do that process. We also have our own in-house pre-owner education, which everybody's going to go through that to some extent, based off of the loan you're doing and everything. Everybody's going to get the basics, but then we tailor it based on your loan and whatnot. That will require different things. Also, you may be referred to partners to build and learn new skills. I'll give you an example. I wouldn't think that the groups in the local heroes program would have this problem, but just to give you an idea, we look outside of the box any way we can to make this stuff happen. But I had somebody in the self-help program that really didn't do computers, couldn't email, none of that stuff. Well, our programs, you pretty much got to have an email address. There's so much stuff we send you. We have to communicate regularly. And so we were able to get him trained through Goodwill. And now he's got an email address. He's able to, send emails and, now he's even on social media. But so we got him some training, which helped. So that gives you an example of the different things that we can do and referrals. These requirements can vary based on funding sources used. So if a loan or a grant requires it, you got to do it. If it doesn't require it, we don't make you do it. So how long does it take? So you're applying for a program. The goal of the program is to get you a loan ready and to have a lot and a home that can be built within your loan budget. How long depends on the method we use, but the goal is no more than 3 years. Now, I will say this. We have land in Westmoreland, so it will not take 3 years. If we have somebody loan ready, we want to start now. So modular homes, from the time you sign the contract to the time that it should be ready to move in, it can be done in as little as 90 to 120 days. So this program, hopefully, this will be the first in Westmoreland, but we're hoping I'm going to move fast. We're hoping we can get somebody approved before the year is out and start that home in 2026 and get you in there. But if you aren't selected for one of the lots that we have, just know we are looking for more lots, and we'll we'll, once we know where your loan is and what we can get you, that makes it easier for me to find lots for you because I know what my price range is. So even if you aren't the one selected for any of our current lots, um, we would talk to you about, getting a lot for you in the county. All right. Do you have any questions? Let's look at the chat box here. All right. Somebody asked about housing choices. That's a good question. We can't give you a lot of choices with this because we got to hit a budget. It's pretty tight. We'll give you as many as we can. Usually it's going to be color choices, like what color you want your siding, what color you want your floors, what color you want, your cabinets. We're going to give you a range of things you can pick. A lot of the choices that you make will be based off of what your loan maximum limit is. If you have enough of a loan, say for example, and you want to add a shed or a fence, we're even okay to do that as long as it's within budget. So in order for us to control cost, we do have to we do have to kind of control the choices to make sure we can get you in there. All right, let's see. Somebody asked, what if you had family land? That's a good question. In rural places, quite often people do have family land, and we can certainly work with you on that. We would need to have an offline conversation, but essentially we need to make sure it meets all the requirements to build on that are put forth by local building codes, as well as the lenders. They put stipulations on there as well. All right. Well, if you guys got any questions, we're available. You can give us a call, 804-633-1000, or you can email us at info@crrhfh.org, and we'll be glad to answer any questions for you. The code for today's presentation is 115JT. Again, 115JT. Thank you all again. Have a great day.